So, when you're planning for retirement, you're obviously focused on your Social Security benefits. But, there's this kind of hidden factor that could take a surprising bite out of your income: state taxes. Seriously, where you live can change your budget a whole lot. So, let's break down exactly what you need to know.
This is the big question, isn't it? Will your state take a piece of your hard-earned benefits? I mean, that can make a huge difference in your retirement budget. The answer really depends entirely on where you live. And in the next few minutes, we're going to find out exactly where your state stands.
And hey, right off the bat, I've got some great news. For the vast majority of retirees, your state won't touch a dime of your Social Security income. A whopping 41 states, plus Washington, D.C., have decided not to tax these benefits at all. Okay, so if 41 states leave it alone, that leaves a small handful that, well, they don't. So let's zero in on these 9 states, because if you live in one of them, you really need to understand the rules. And as you're about to see, the policies can be wildly different from one state to the next.
All right, here they are. For the 2025 tax year, the 9 states that might tax a portion of your Social Security are Colorado, Connecticut, Minnesota, Montana, New Mexico, Rhode Island, Utah, Vermont, and West Virginia. Now, if you see your state on this list, don't panic. It doesn't automatically mean you're going to pay. It all comes down to their specific rules and, of course, your income.
And this is where things get a little tricky, because the rules are all over the place. Just take a look at the difference here. In Connecticut, your benefits are completely exempt if your income is below 75 grand for a single filer. That's a pretty generous threshold. But then you look over at Montana, where the tax can kick in on income over just $21,200. See? This stark contrast is exactly why you can't make assumptions. You've got to know your state's specific guidelines. But check this out. Here's a story of some really positive change. One of the states on our list, West Virginia, is actually on its way out of the club. Yep, thanks to a new law, the state is in the middle of completely getting rid of its tax on Social Security benefits. Now, this isn't like flipping a switch, it's a phase-out. As you can see, back in 2024, 35% of benefits were deductible. For 2025, that jumps way up to 65%. And by 2026, boom, the tax will be completely gone. It's a perfect example of how these state laws are not set in stone and can definitely change over time. So after getting into the weeds with the exceptions, let's zoom back out for a second. It's really important to remember that what West Virginia is doing kind of reflects the bigger trend. Most of the country is very, very tax-friendly when it comes to Social Security. So here's how the whole country stacks up. You've got the 9 states that might tax your benefits. Then there's this huge group of 32 states plus D.C. that have an income tax but choose to completely exempt Social Security. And finally, you've got 9 states with no state income tax at all. So for them, it's a non-issue. It gives you a really clear picture of the national landscape. Now hold on. Even if you live in one of the 41 states that don't tax Social Security, we're not quite done. You still have to think about the federal government. And unlike some of these state laws that are changing, the federal rules for taxing Social Security, well, they haven't been updated in over 30 years. The key to understanding federal taxes on your benefits is this one term: combined income. It's a very specific formula the IRS uses. As you can see, it's your adjusted gross income plus any non-taxable interest you earned plus, and this is the important part, 1/2 of your total Social Security benefits for the year. That final number is what determines if and how much of your benefit gets taxed by Uncle Sam. So, once you have that combined income number, here's how the federal tax is figured out. Let's start with folks filing jointly. If your combined income is between $32,000 and $44,000, up to half of your benefits could be taxed. If you're over $44,000, up to 85% could be taxable. Now, for everyone else, the thresholds are a bit lower. The tax kicks in between $25,000 and $34,000. If your income is below those starting numbers, your benefits are federally tax-free. Okay, there's been some chatter and confusion recently about a new tax bill, with some people asking if it gets rid of taxes on Social Security. The short answer from our source is a clear no. The law gives a temporary $6,000 deduction for seniors based on income. But as the quote on screen says, this deduction applies to all income, not specifically Social Security. So it's a general tax break, not a change to how benefits are taxed. All right, knowing all the rules is the first step. The next step is taking action. So what can you actually do about all this? Let's dive into some practical strategies you can use to hopefully lower your overall tax bill in retirement. Let's walk through these because they're really important. First up, strategically manage your withdrawals from accounts like a 401k or traditional IRA. By controlling how much you pull out each year, you might be able to stay below those key state and federal tax thresholds we just talked about. Second, think about converting parts of a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. This is usually best in low-income years since you pay tax on the conversion then, but withdrawals in retirement are tax-free. Third, diversify your portfolio. Investing in things like tax-free municipal bonds can give you income that doesn't count towards that combined income formula. And finally, and this is critical, do not miss your required minimum distributions, or RMDs. The penalties for messing that up are steep, so it's a very costly mistake you want to avoid.
And so that brings us to our final question for you. Now that you have a better handle on the state and federal rules, is your retirement plan truly tax optimized? It's definitely worth taking a closer look. Thanks for joining us.